What's up, friendos, and welcome into Leading Off. That is right. It is leading off time right here on Fantasy Pros. I am Chris Welsh, and that is Scott Bogman, not Joe Pisapia. So it's a little bit of like new in this league. Order for life. It is an ITL invasion here on Fantasy Pros. Bogman and the Welsh. We ride again, Bogman. We are back. What's up, buddy?
I am loving it. This is going to be a great time, and I know people are disappointed. No Joe, but I tell you what, the hair level on this show went from about 30 to 75. So
we did bring it up. I mean, I was talking earlier. I got to be careful about how I show the hair off of a hat because I've got, like some thinning going on. I can make it really look good, but we are hair level 10 on the show today.
That's
without
right.
Joe. But Joe is with Mama Joe. With Mama Joe doing he's doing some good son stuff today. So Bogman is sitting in with me, and we have got a lot of ridiculous stuff to talk about. I'm just warning you, in the for fun section today, there's a lot. There's a lot to unpack that we're going to be talking about.
I'm here. We're going to have some fun.
We're going to have
we know
fun. We've also got prospecting with me. We're going to be prospecting here in a little bit. And it's going to be a little bit more prospect report-y because we've got a few other things that are going to be lining up. We've also got the best bets of the day. We've got all the fun stuff as we always do. And to remind you guys, we are brought to you by our great friends over at bet365. That's right. Use promo code LEADINGOFF today. When you bet $5, you can get $150 in bonus bets. What's better than that? We're going to talk about our best bets of the day. So go and download the app today, use that promo code, make a deposit, and start having so much fun. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-BETS-OFF, 1-800-GAMBLER in Arizona and a bunch of other places. Kentucky, 18+, terms and conditions apply. You know the deal. Thank you to Bet365. Bogman. Look at the hair's looking slick today, too, by the way.
Yeah, it's getting long, man. There's a big old ponytail back here somewhere. So, yeah.
She is...
a lot of
it. Looking good. She's looking good. And what's up to the chat? Chat's firing off. Love to see all you guys here. Barry said, do we have a puppet Bog? Do you know the puppet Joe situation?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, you do. Yeah,
I saw the original Puppet Joe scenario. So
that's what I was about to say. Like, hat tip to Boggs. Boggs is somebody. Boggs watches the show. Boggs is hanging out with you guys a decent amount of the time in the chat. I just didn't know if you were aware of Puppet Joe or not.
Oh, yeah. I have seen Puppet Joe's existence. I would prefer, hopefully my internet doesn't go out. So there's no Puppet Bogman here. So, but it's always, I got people working literally right next door. So they could hit a power line.
Trying to think of like what Puppet Bogman would be like. I'm trying to think of your sayings. Wow. It's only important to do the sayings.
We're live here. You may want to think of my saying.
I'd be like, hey, everybody, there's meat on the bone.
Yeah.
I gotta find the Bogman sayings. That's how you do the puppet stuff. All right, let's get into all the stuff and things. We got a packed show, and we are going to kick it off with Shota Imanaga. It happened. Yeah, not complete regression and blow up, but this game was a regression game. He gave up 7 earned runs, 1 strikeout over 4 1/3, and a loss to the Brewers. He was coming off of 10 days rest, which is kind of the oddity to make sure, you pay
too
attention.
Healthy, Lois.
Maybe like that could have definitely had some big effect. He came in this one with just 5 extra base hits allowed, and the Brewers matched that with 5 off of Imanaga in this game. Christian Yelich, he had a 2-run blast in this one. So even after the blow up, though, he's got a 1.86 ERA, a 1 WHIP. Everything still looks good, but we came back to earth in this start. So I guess the question is, does this mean anything? I will say this. I also saw friend of the show, Frank Stanfill, getting into it because all Frank did was bring up like, hey, regression hit him and his ERA went up, and people like, doesn't mean he sucks. And he's like,
they
I
all
didn't
sound like
not...
Arnold Schwarzenegger. They're like, I love Imanaga.
Frank, get to the shopper. But they do that, and everybody plays. I'm pulling up Imanaga stuff. They pull this thing like,
you know that Imanaga gave up 5 earned total before yesterday?
Yeah, and the extra base hits as well. If anything, I would expect me to get some more of that hate of Imanaga because I am the one that has consistently been on shows going, hey, listen, I love Imanaga. I love all of it. But there's something about a aggressive 2-pitch pitcher, especially a splitter fastball guy, and especially a low 90s fastball guy that just never sat well with me, that he's going to be able to be this elite. Like, I've always thought he's going to be good, but I was thinking maybe he's going to be closer to a low 3s ERA guy, and he's not like the 10th best pitcher in baseball. So I didn't receive any of it, which is amazing. It doesn't look like Baseball Savant is updated because they still have him as a 0.84 ERA and an expected 2.62, but obviously this backtracks. Any thoughts on the first final blow? We finally got the first blow up of Imanaga. Is there any actual like worry for you?
And by the way, I'm seeing at 1.86 and 1 even as the whip on Fangraphs. So don't know if that's higher than what you were saying Savant had.
What are you seeing?
1.86 for his season ERA and a 1 even whip.
Okay, on Baseball
Fangraphs.
Savant, they haven't updated the ERA. It still says 0.84, and I only care about.
This raised his ERA a full run. Yeah. What was his whip before? Yeah, it was 1 now as well. So okay, yeah. Look, I think that we talk about this in the pre-draft season and everything. A lot of guys that come over from another country who are great there, and Imanaga was amazing. These guys, they come in, they dominate, and then they hit a rough patch, almost like a rookie season, right? You see a lot of rookies ride the roller coaster and go up and down and all that stuff. It's a little more stable for guys that have been in a professional league. But I think we could potentially see that. I'm not running to the hills to sell yet. I definitely want to see his next start. I just, it makes you do this. It makes you raise an eyebrow. Okay, maybe we're entering a down spurt here for Imanaga. Maybe he's been figured out a little bit, but these guys also will readjust as well. So I'm not too worried about Imanaga right now.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the other battle is like, are you looking at this as like, hey, this is the time I buy? Or, I think the pessimist is
I could buy now, I would.
Yeah, but I think the pessimist is also looking at this like, okay, is this going to be the trend moving forward? Because again, that's calmed it down a little bit when we did the show on ITL about like the 2-pitch pitchers. I'm not sure this would make you feel better, but he likened it to like Kevin Gausman, and Kevin Gausman has had some issues when you're kind of a 2-pitch guy because he's essentially almost 90% fastball splitter. This start, I think you can definitely look at the 10 days as a marker here. He was down about a half mile per hour on everything. He had 0 whiffs. He had 23 swings on his fastball, 0 whiffs on that pitch. The splitter, only a 27% swing and whiff rate, 6 whiffs off of 22 swings in general. CSW, he essentially wasn't getting either called strikes. Like everybody was swinging at that thing, and his fastball was getting smashed. It had a 93 average exit velocity against. Should say that the splitter had a 96. He really got smashed in this one, but it's enough to. I lean on the buy. But here's the problem. I don't think there's any discount on Imanaga. He's been too good. It's one everybody can excuse it. It's got to go down for a little bit for there to be a buy.
He also only stranded 2 of his 9 base runners, and he has had a great strand rate. So, the lob percentage was pretty high before, and this one it was low. It was in 30%. His worst game so far in terms of that. His worst game as an MLB player, but I think. I'm not hitting the panic button quite yet. I'm walking towards it, but I'm not hitting it. So.
I think you just need to, you need to monitor it and see what this next start is. Normal rest, see what happens with the fastball. Can he induce some actual swing and whiffs? Because that's kind of the key I'm looking at here is like he was getting swung on and no one was missing anything. Everyone was making contact, and it's lower velo stuff. So that's what you kind of, you got to watch. We got some young aces from yesterday. Luis Gil is a freaking monster. Just want to throw out, I was like, hey, what are we going to see overall with how many pitches when they say they're going to backtrack? He went berserko again. I think he went 8. He was awesome. And Paul Skenes, absolutely dominant and as well. 9 strikeouts over 6 innings. And I believe he was up to like 70 pitches, not even into the 4th. So I think that's something to like really hold on to with. I didn't think that Skenes was going to be able to go deep into games, and he continues to do that. And I think it's a great sign. Both of these guys, I think the ranks are really close to, I think Gil is up, and the only thing holding him back is now this new, like we might hold him back, but both fantastic starts. Any thoughts on either?
Well, I tell you what, Luis Eel, Ken Rosenthal had a report maybe about a week ago that said the Yankees are likely to back off Eel during the season to have him ready for the playoffs. So I don't like that. So I think that is a dude that I'd be looking to potentially trade if I could. But Skenes has been outstanding, right? And I know they are going to limit him at some point, but I think it's going to be more like skipping a start. I don't think they're fully going to send him like back down to the minors or whatever, take him off the roster because they don't want him throwing any more innings. I think he's proving to be more than that. You don't want to overwork a guy with the potential Paul Skenes, right? But, I think it's more skip starts than it is going to be just a full stop date and this is the amount of innings we want for you, period, end of story. I think they're going to just try to keep pushing him. So maybe it's frustrating in the middle part of the year, but I want Skenes for the playoffs. So I think that he could be a factor for most of the season. He is proving it right now.
Yeah, I want to lock this in for next year. I want to make like a little list of players and monitor how they are being used for the narrative and the conversation next year, because someone in the chat was like, hey, we have Garrett Crochet and innings limits. I want to like, let's mark this. Let's do this together, chat. Let's get Heel, Skenes, Jared Jones, Garrett Crochet, and maybe stop at those 4. And then I don't know, I'm cool to, if you guys want to present another guy or two, and then let's monitor like, how are they treated the rest of the season? What does that look like? So we know what this narrative is into next year on how MLB, because it's always changing. They're always changing how these guys are used. And I just don't know if sometimes we might be making too much about like, hey, we're going to back off and we're going to do this. And it just, might be kind of a different approach.
And Whips has a good point here. Love the let's limit Eel, but also he's going 8 innings, and that's the old Christian McCaffrey trope in football, right? It's like, we're going to give him less touches. And then he ends up with 350. And well, you can't take him off the field. He's one of the best players. Same thing's happening with Eel. Same thing's happening with Skenes. So
especially
we'll see if they hold to those words. Or
and like taking all those guys and then having the context too of like the teams, like, Skenes being a rookie, but also on a team that maybe is not winning. Let's see what that does. Let's look at what a guy like Heel, who you can kind of consider Heel in the same boat as the Skenes, what happens with them on a winning team in this new era. Because I think we commonly just go back and say, oh, they're going to limit these guys without question. I actually think that what the Marlins did last year with Yuri Perez was great. Like it was like 20 days or whatever. And then he just got to be himself the back half of the year. If they
didn't shut him down early enough, obviously. We know that now.
Yeah, exactly.
So come on.
Some others on the headlines here. Blue Jays John Snyder told reporters after Wednesday's game that Alek Manoah is going to undergo an MRI on his injured right elbow on Thursday. So today, after he left the second inning against the White Sox, he'd been better-ish. I was never an Alek Manoah guy. So if you were of the Alek Manoah fan club, just know that he's going to get checked out, and MRIs on elbows, never good.
Yeah, and, he's kind of a head case right now. So I don't know, like, is this going to be something that derails him, or is this going to be something that gives him time to focus up and kind of, adjust what he needs to adjust and get right again? So I don't know.
What he needs to adjust. The truffle shuffle. I can say that. I'm like the same way. Yeah, By the way, it makes me think back to the poll we had I accidentally did Skenes and Manoah on the poll, and 6% of people said Manoah rest of season. I'm just still thinking about that. Mackenzie Gore, hot still, 10 strikeouts across 5.5 in a 7-2 win over the Braves on Wednesday. Seth Lugo also continues to just do that thing. 1 earned run over 6 innings in a 6-1 win. Struck out 5.
9-1 now.
He's I don't know. Is he?
Yeah, he has so many wins.
ERA's 1.72. He's got that. What do they call it? Like the
9-1.
That's crazy. They call it like the death ball curve, but like it's like 3,400 RPM. He is wild. He is
the winning
totally
ball.
Wild.
Whatever it is. It's the give me them dubs ball.
Yeah, That's really is. All right, for fun, this is where things are going to get crazy. First off, we have a new mayor in Arizona. They've actually given the key, and the state has been handed over. It's to Corey Seager. Corey Seager owns Arizona. He is the new king and whatever they call it, mayor, owner, whatever. He owns us. It's ridiculous. Corey Seager not only has just been on a complete tear, and behind the scenes, just want everybody to know, because I'm not going to look, because I'm not going to look at the comments and videos. Someone's going to kill me. I'm giving you guys behind the scenes here at Fantasy Pros. I did a trade video. I think it just released yesterday, quite a bit later than it usually does. I did it on Sunday, and I feel bad because I was like, buy Corey Seager. Not that like he was already kind of heating up.
He was heating up, yeah.
But it was like, buy him now, get the discount. It's all gonna. In between me recording it, and we had a snafu, and it didn't release until Wednesday. 4 days, he hit like 19 home runs in that period of time. So someone's going to be like, oh, thanks, Welsh, for the great advice. And I just don't know for that person. But I had done it on Sunday. Corey Seager owns the Diamondbacks. And
dude, I got a stat on my phone yesterday that said Corey Seager has 8 homers in his last 8 games against the Diamondbacks. Like, first of all, my phone hates me for just throwing that stat at me in my face. And also, living in Houston, for whatever reason, I have to watch the Rangers broadcast instead of just the MLB.TV so I can watch Diamondbacks. Guess what they talked about and showed highlights of? The entire series here. So much fun.
Yeah, well, he owns it.
So
yeah, this is the not so much fun. Also, my new favorite player in baseball is Jorge Lopez. Mets designated Jorge Lopez for assignment on Thursday after he was ejected from the game on Wednesday. And as he walked off, he chucked his glove into the stands. And then after, this is the crazy part, by the way, after he was interviewed, he did not hold back. In translation from the media, it sounded like he said, I play for the worst team in baseball. He actually went on Instagram today to be like, hey, by the way, I said, I'm the worst player in baseball. I'm the worst teammate. And thanks media, you made it a lot better. He immediately got cut after doing this. He had a few other choice words that were with it. I don't know. I liked Jorge Lopez more when he said, I play on the worst team in baseball in the Mets. I kind of like that a little bit better. And I thought the Mets did the wrong thing. The Mets should have just doubled down and be like, oh, now you're going to be a starter. They shouldn't cut him. If you're on the worst team in baseball, they should have made him go like 7 instead of cutting him. I don't know. I love Jorge Lopez for that.
Petty Welsh would not be a manager here. Yeah, look.
But like if someone does something like that, and then you cut him, like I don't know. I kind of feel like you look like the loser. Like you should just be like, no, now you're going to really dig it. Like I thought that would have been a better play on the Mets to just shove him into a starter role than immediately cut him.
I think they did the right thing. You know, if he's a problem, look, he's a borderline player anyway. I actually think he's pretty good. I think someone will definitely pick him up. There's enough bad bullpens in the league. Someone will pick up Jorge Lopez. So I think he needed to say that. Just to get at it again, but I'm not shocked at what transpired there.
Boy, I can't put some of your guys' comments up in the chat. I want to put some comments up on the screen, but
the Marcelo Zuna one.
Yeah, you guys are going with that. All right, and then in the final of the fun things or just wild things, I know a decent amount of you saw this. Former Angels infielder, the gambler, as we call him, David Fletcher,
the gambler,
is with the Braves. Pitched last night in AAA against Norfolk. If you're not a big prospect person, you might not understand. Norfolk is the pinnacle. That's the pinnacle of prospect teams. Right now, that team has Heston Kjerstad, Jackson Holliday, Connor Norby, and it had Kobe Mayo at times. What is immensely fascinating across the board. First off, David Fletcher is implicated in an investigation currently on the iPay gambling thing, because apparently as an Angel, he had taken bets with the same bookie and maybe through iPay. And then there's this whole thing of like, he didn't bet on baseball, but his really good buddy who used to be a Royals bet on the Angels in games that David Fletcher was in. So first off, he's under that investigation. So he's playing baseball. All of a sudden, he's like 5'7" or 8, by the way. Then he's put on the mound.
Doesn't even deserve to live at that height, right?
No, I'm just saying, like, that's not a starter.
Why don't you bring it up again then? So
he then is put on the mound, and I gotta pull it back up. And not only had he not been like, half a year or something like that. If you guys remember Anthony Gose, who was like a outfielder, he's been like for 3 years. He's been out there trying to figure out how to be a relief pitcher. They throw David Fletcher in as a starter. This is what he does last night. He goes, actually, let me pull up the box score because I have the other stuff in here. He pitches 5 innings, strikes out 6, walks 1, 2 earned runs, only gives up 5 hard hits against Jackson Holliday, Connor Norby, Heston Kjerstad. Billy Cook is pretty good as well. Taran Vavra. Like, there's some good players in there. He did it with a knuckleball. He threw 2 pitches last night. He threw 12 fastballs, 17% of the time, which, by the way, averaged 74 miles per hour, hit 82. He threw 60 knuckleballs.
He'd be the ace of the White Sox right now, right? I mean, come on.
He got 11 whiffs on that knuckleball. And this can't even be right. This can't even be right.
You're looking at a fake scouting report from him?
I'm looking at the spin numbers. It said the spin on the knuckleball had a maximum spin of 220.
I mean, knuckleballs don't move. So
with the lowest spin of 36. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. But I just want to point out, the infielder, David Fletcher, went 5 innings, threw 60 knuckleballs in a AAA start for whatever reason. It is one of the wildest things I have ever seen. And he's embroiled in this gambling thing. I don't know, man. David Fletcher is crazy. And I don't know if this was a make-a-wish situation and he always wanted to pitch before he gets sent to the clink for the gambling.
Probably
I don't know what's going on.
Eating innings. They're just like, whatever. This guy is nothing anymore. He's probably going to get, they thought he's probably going to get suspended. So who cares if he blows out his arm? Let him go throw all the knuckleballs he wants. And he was actually pretty good. So I think this is just straight up dumb luck.
He had a 35% CSW on that knuckleball in AAA. I cannot get over a 220 max and a 36 low on this. I mean, there's nothing. That ball's not moving. That is a absolutely wild story to me. And I guess we'll continue to watch what happens with Mr. David Fletcher.
Will you bet on it?
I'm not going to bet on it. I'm not going to bet on any lines that he's got. That knuckleball is crazy. Spencer Swellenbach allowed 3 runs across 5 innings in a loss to the Nationals on Wednesday, struck out 5, walked 1. I know a lot of people talked about him. But, friendos, that takes us over to my favorite segment. It's time for this week's Prospecting with the Welsh. We got lots of those gold baseballs, and we've got to find the best. Prospecting with me, the Welsh. This week, it's a little bit different, Boggs. It's kind of a report style because things are wild, continuously wild.
Coming in live from the CBS studios.
I've got 2 guys that we're going to talk about that I think qualify in the stash range. I'm going to answer the 2 biggest questions that have come up, which has to do with Jackson Holliday. When will he come up? But the number one thing in our world, as far as prospects and to stash, have been James Wood and Junior Caminero. And it's all bad. Both, as you guys most likely all know, are on the IL. These are the 2 guys that warranted the stashing, the real stashing. James Wood, he's going to miss a couple weeks with a hamstring strain, as I did #free James Wood. Pulled up kind of lame. They took him out. This holds back the timeline a little bit. So if you're stashing James Wood, it's more optimistic than Junior Caminero, who's on the IL with a quad strain. Here's the bad part. Likely to miss 4 to 6 weeks, as you can see on our graphic here. And what that does, if it's on the 6-week timeline, that doesn't bring him back until mid-July, which is around the All-Star break. And then they'll want him to get back into AAA games. To me, we can't see Junior Caminero until at least August. And that has been a big, big cursor of mine of why I don't know if you wanted to even keep a Junior Caminero. I'm being optimistic about James Wood, but both of these guys in a bad spot. And what that does, Boggs, is that takes us really off of the exciting stash range. I'll tell you right now, I don't think there is one single prospect that warrants must stash like Caminero and James Wood is. And we're even kind of in the range of like the unique thing about Wood and Caminero was if they were called up, like once they're called up, you have to have it. I don't know if we even have any guys, Aroldis Martinez or not, that you have to pick up if they were to get the call up. So we're going to kind of navigate through that. But it's brutal. And you heard me do it like weeks ago about the Caminero thing. And some guy ripped me about it like, oh, bad advice. And it's like, okay, well, now you're not going to see him until August.
Yeah, it's so Caminero is a tough one. And I think what you said is correct. And I don't think it's always correct, but I think it's correct currently
You're
that
saying I'm not always correct, or
maybe on occasion you might be guilty of a mistake every once in a while. Welsh, I'm not saying, it happens all the time,
blasphemy?
every day or most of the time you open your mouth or anything like that. I'm just saying that sometimes it happens like it does with this guy. But look, I think not ever stashing prospects is eye rolling. But I do think that right now we don't really have a guy that is 100% guaranteed to come up at, really soon and go ahead and make a huge impact for your team. I think most of those guys are gone. So there are guys to buy in deeper leagues if you have the roster spots for them. But right now, if you're in like a standard league with 5-6 bench spots, there's not a guy you have to stash because he's coming up anytime soon, specifically after these injuries.
Yeah, and I think James Wood is like, I think he can come back a little bit sooner, and you would hope the Nationals are going to bring him up, but you also had Lane Thomas come back. I made my case on why, and I do think that he will be up exponentially quicker than Junior Caminero, but it really kind of takes the top off. So then the second biggest question is we go to AI Jackson Holliday. Hi, everybody. When will Jackson Holliday be coming back? Or
you're telling me
is
this
Jackson
isn't just
Holliday
a regulation picture of Jackson Holliday? This is not him.
This is our AI version. But the question is Jackson Holliday coming back soon? That's the question I see the most in the prospect world. So to answer it, I don't think so, because since being back in May in Norfolk, he's hitting just 247 in the month of May, and he has played the entire month of May. This might not have counted last night where they got ripped up by David Fletcher and his knuckleball. He's got 4 homers, 4 stolen bases in that time. Here's what's really concerning and why I don't think Jackson Holliday is on the come up soon. An almost 30% K rate he has had since he has been down. Now he's walking still. He's got a 400 OBP. That's great. He's still hitting lefties nice, which I think is a very big positive. And on that 400 OBP side, he has an OBP over 400 against both righties and lefties. Again, that's positive. But he's being outperformed by Connor Norby, Heston Kjerstad. So never say never, but I don't think we're going to see Jackson Holliday anytime soon. And I kind of think like anything before July 1st would be crazy. And I do think it's possible after the All-Star break. So the next question I get, will Heston Kjerstad come up before Jackson Holliday? And I think the answer is yes. Since being sent down, he's hitting 327, 3 homers, 6 doubles, by the way, in 50 at-bats. That's 9 extra base hits. I didn't even look at triples between the doubles and the home runs. He also has a 9-to-14 K, walk to K ratio. So I don't think we can actually predict like an obvious replacement for him, because I think the obvious is like in the infield, which could be a Connor Norby, but I think it could be at any time we see Heston Kjerstad, and maybe he's a guy that you do stash right now, even though it's not obvious. Would you be okay stashing him, even though he's not positionless, but it's tougher, but he is dominating since he went back down?
Yeah, I if you have the roster spots, fine. But for me, we're a little bit with a lot of these injuries starting to mount up here. We're kind of hitting the dog days, and I feel like I need that bench spot to be active. So for the most part, I'm not picking up any of these guys. But if I was going to pick up one, Kjerstad's the guy.
All right, so who can you stash? There's your question. I've got 2 pitchers for you. And yes, I've already talked about this guy before, and I've seen this question come up. Welsh, what do you do with Cade Povich? I still think you can stash Cade Povich. He is lining up pretty close to Albert Suarez, which I think is good. I think he's a day off or 2 from Cole Irvin. Cole Irvin and Albert Suarez were the guys that moved up into the rotation. So I think that's important because those are the likely spots that he would end up occupying as well. Cole Irvin is currently the only lefty in the rotation. Povich is a lefty. Povich went 6 in his last start. He did give up 300 runs, but he struck out 6 and has held batters to an under 200 batting average this entire season. So because of that question, I feel it soon. It's a blow up from one of these starters. I believe Suarez is pitching today, or a simple injury, or it could be to bolster back the bullpen that they want Irvin or Suarez to be in that bullpen spot and let Cade Povich go. So again, I don't have a magic ball, but I would say that's the guy. The other one, Minnesota Twins, David Festa, currently has the 3rd best swinging strike rate in AAA at over 16%. he has been as dominant as Povich with a 2.77 ERA, 60 strikeouts over 39 innings. His last start, he went 5, gave up 1, and struck out 8, while walking just 1, did 1 hit. But walks have been his kind of bugaboo, and he hasn't actually built up big major innings. Simeon Woods Richardson is key here. If he starts to unravel, David Festa is going to get the call. Those are 2 that I would spot start if they come up, but hitters are finicky. And I'll tell you, I had one last thing on here. I was going to say a surprise stash might have been Brennen Davis, who Brennen Davis has been good in the minors. 256 on over 400 OBP, lowered his strikeout rate, 16th best WRC plus in AAA, 21st best slugging in AAA. But I thought it would be Michael Busch gets kicked to the side, and then instead of bringing up Pete Crow Armstrong, they would bring up Brennen Davis to try it out. Well, guess what? Pete Crow Armstrong was called up today. So I do think you'll see Brennen Davis in the near future. He has been way better. Maybe he'll be a guy that comes up soon. But that is what we are doing when we are prospecting with the Welsh. We're prospecting today. Oh, look, we found something. Hopefully we found something in Cade Povich, and we can be correct here. All right, Boggs, we're going to plow through some of this stuff. Going through the 3 up and 3 down, George Kirby allowed 1 run, 8 strikeouts over 6 innings and a no decision. Thank you very much.
Good.
Justin Verlander allowed 1 run with 9 strikeouts over 7. Lane Thomas 3 for 4. The go-ahead 3-run home run, double walk, couple runs. Your boy, you love some Lane Thomas. On the 3 down, Logan Allen allowed 7 runs over 1 2/3. Jared Jones surrendered 7 runs, 5 were earned. Didn't look great. And Joe Adell, 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts. I put this on here. He now has 1 hit over his last 7 games, and his average has dropped to 211. Everyone was like, "Oh, Joe Adell, are you? Joe Adell, what side of the gladiator?"
I was so happy to see him look so good. He had 315 last month, but he's hitting 141 this month. I don't know. Might have been a bottle rocket month. So
would you cut him? Would you cut him for like Jake Myers? Jake Myers or Joe Adell?
Yeah, I'd rather have Jake Myers.
Yeah, I think I would too. Injuries. Yu Darvish was pulled from Wednesday's start against the Marlins after 3 innings due to tightness in his left hamstring. Buddy, I don't know. You know what? I if I was smarter, I would have realized, look for Adam Mazer. That might be someone that gets a start here soon. Adam Mazer might get a start, especially with Darvish getting hurt. That could be a positive. Pete Alonso was removed Wednesday's game against the Dodgers after being hit on the right hand. He's day-to-day. Tyler O'Neill back on the 10-day IL, retroactive to the 26th with right knee inflammation. Hate that. Lars Nootbaar, undergoing evaluation on his injured wrist. Makes me upset. Joey's not here. Edwin Diaz on the IL 15-day with a shoulder impingement. And Jeffrey Springs was able to long toss on Thursday, 5 days after being removed from his rehab start due to shoulder tightness. So Jeffrey Springs in the world of holding, you're going to have to maybe wait just a tiny bit more. Bogman, it is time that we jump into the best bets
of the day
with not Joey P. Put some hair on that Joey P version, and I can still look bewildered. I felt bewildered the last couple days with some of my bets, but you can jump in with Bet365 and Betting Pros here in Fantasy Pros for our best bets of the day, where Bogman and I are going to unleash those bad boys. So get in with Bet365 and let's turn it around. I got my
best Joe face.
I got my Yankees yesterday, but Corbin Burns killed my little K prop by dropping 1. It's been a rough couple days, so it is a turnaround time. Small slate, but I like what's going down today. So Bogman, let's start with you. Give us your best bets of the day.
I'm going to go with Spencer Arrighetti over 6.5 Ks. It's plus 105, and Seattle has the highest K percentage in Major League Baseball. Also, they've been pretty bad over, like, if you shorten that to May, last 2 weeks, they're striking out a bunch. So give me Spencer Arrighetti on the over. Jose Altuve over 1.5 total bases is plus 140 versus Logan Gilbert. He's 10 for 27 with 2 homers and 5 doubles. So a lot of extra base hits for Altuve against Logan Gilbert. And give me Juan Soto over 1.5 total bases plus 120 versus Patrick Sandoval. He actually has reverse splits and he's hitting over 330 versus lefties. So I like that lefty-lefty matchup.
I almost bet that Arrighetti one. That's funny that you put that on there. I was looking at that, but I went on a different direction. I actually went with Logan Gilbert, 5.5 strikeouts. It's plus money today at 110. Obviously, the Astros, they're a pretty good non-strikeout team, but Gilbert actually got this number. He hit 6 against Houston in their last start. Also walked 4. So it was a little bit like uncharacteristically ineffective with those walks. Still struck out 6 against Houston and went pretty deep. Houston over the last 3 games, averaging 11 strikeouts per game. Gilbert also has only gone 81 and 77 pitches in his last 2 starts. So I think there's a possibility of a longer leash. I like his ability for the strikeouts. He's done it before, and I'm getting plus money. So one of my favorite bets is 5.5 over strikeouts at plus 110. I am rebacking Jack Flaherty, but I'm not taking his strikeouts or, laddering him again. We're going to just go on the money line first 5. So Detroit first 5 money line. It's some places even money between 105 and 100. If you guys want to check that one out. And our Arizona Diamondbacks, Boggs, Mets, Diamondbacks, I'm taking the first 5 total runs at 3.5 over. 3.5 is a lower number than you usually see. The total game is 7. Christian Scott and Zach Gallen. One of the reasons, Zach Gallen has a 2 ERA at home. He's a 4 ERA on the road. So I'm going to take 4 runs to the first 5. Christian Scott also can get hit up a little bit if the Diamondbacks.
Carroll 3 for 5 last night, starting to hopefully come out of it.
Heated up. So over 3.5 runs, Diamondbacks, Mets through the first 5 innings, 3.5 minus 125. That is my best bet of the day. And you guys can get your best bet over at bet365. Use our promo code leading off, bet $5, get 150 in bonus bets. Do it today. Download the app, use the promo code, make a deposit, and have so much fun. And make sure any gambling problems, 1-800-GAMBLER. Got to be 18 plus in Kentucky. Terms and conditions apply. Those, my friends, are the best bets of the day with not Joey P. It's Bogman and the Welsh. Boggs, we're going to finish this bad boy out with a home run call. Let me get to the board here. Look at that. Still not me. Pazzi is taking the lead with 21. South African G at 20. Those are our only 20 guys here. We got Bows and O's at 19. Joey is down here at 17th. He is currently in 10th place, or, probably 7th place. Hosts kind of get to go a little bit higher. Wonky is on the board at 19 with 15. Welsh is nowhere to be seen. Bogman, somewhere on that list. Where are you going to go with your home run call today?
Give me Christian Yelich. He's 10 for 23 versus Tyon. 435 is that average with 2 bombs in his career. Hit a homer yesterday, heating up a little bit. So give me Yelich.
I am getting tricky with it a little bit today. I'm going to go with Riley Green. Riley Green, I almost wanted to play his doubles or his total bases on the day, but give me the leadoff spot. Pretty decent matchup. Give me Riley Green on the home run call today. If you guys want, you guys can get in on the home run calls. All you got to do is come over to the Discord. Here you go. This is the Discord chat, but you guys can always check out join our Discord today, fantasypros.com/chat. Get in on the premium. You can do home run calls and tons more. No reason not to go sign up. Also, a brand new cycle coming up later today on the podcast feed. So make sure you're subscribed to the Fantasy Pros MLB baseball feed where leading off is. This show is going to drop. You got Mayor and the Worm are going to be dropping a brand new cycle today that you guys are going to want to check out. So make sure you do that. Bogman absolutely blasted through this show, and we still gave people 40 minutes. Any closing thoughts for the day in the baseball world for you?
Go D-backs. Let's get a win. Let's go. Come on.
Cade Povich, looking to be right. Make sure you guys can look for my prospect article. I'm going to dig deeper into maybe some deeper options. That's going to be over on Fantasy Pro. So go and check that out or be on the lookout for that over the next day. Make sure you're subscribed to the podcast. And that's it, friends. Joe's going to be back tomorrow for a fun Friday. We're going to do all the stuff and things as we always do. That's Bogman. I'm Welsh. Thank you guys for hanging out with us, and we will talk to you next time right here, leading off on Fantasy Pros. Peace.
See ya.